I've had my custom lighting business for over 4 years now this month. My name is Zach and I own and operate NTX Glow, which is a custom automotive lighting company. And in today's video, I wanted to give 3 pros and 3 cons to owning and operating a custom automotive lighting business. We should start with the pros. First thing, and the thing that's so exciting to me, is that it is a low cost entry business. I think of it more of a service business than I do a product business. Even though I have products listed on my website, I still think of it as more of a service than I do a product, because I really don't have to keep anything in stock. Everything that you see back here is completely prepaid for by the customer. None of that was prepaid for by me. I don't have any product just sitting here not getting used or not claimed in any way. The tools needed to get started are pretty cheap as well. Most households are going to have the amount of tools needed to start this. You really only need a Phillips head, a flathead screwdriver, and if you're in the right niche, all you'll really need is either a heat gun, a blow dryer, or an oven to open up the lights. By niche, I mean the right vehicle. So if you're starting with an older vehicle, maybe something from the 90s or 2000s, where the lights are still all butyl sealed, you should be able to open those lights and modify them with just a very basic set of hand tools. You also don't really need that much space. By that I mean, you really only need a bedroom, a garage, or something like that. I mean, my first 4 or 5 set of lights I ever built were just built next to the bed I was sleeping in at the time. So unlike other automotive businesses where you would need a place to bring cars in and out so that you could work on them, this you could just do right inside your bedroom. You don't need to have the extra cost of renting out a warehouse space, which is insanely expensive. If you're willing to put in the time, there's almost no marketing cost for this as well. For a lot of builders, me included, they got a lot of their initial business just from going to different car shows and car meets in their local area. Me personally, I had a group of car friends and we would go to car meets every single weekend, and I had my car out there one week with 1 set of lights, and then the next week I came with a custom set that I had just built. It was the very first set that immediately turned into one of my friends wanting a set. So charge him really cheap amount to build them, get some practice in, that snowballs into the next friend, into the next friend. And then you start getting into customers that you're not friends with. Meanwhile, the whole time, you just keep posting them on social media. You can post some of the progress pictures and some of the things that you've done. You can even just go out and do photo shoots with your friends. Because 1, it's fun, and 2, you get those product pictures that you get to post on your social medias and or your website. If you have that, is going to start generating customers from social media, and none of that costs you any money. I've never ran any ads on any platform. Another pro is that it is a creative outlet. It can be as creative of a job as you want it to be. I've personally had several customers come to me and say, hey, I just want to send you the lights and send you some money and let you be as creative as possible with them. Although I typically say no to those. But if having a creative job is important to you, then this is something that you can do to get that creative outlet. My last pro for this video is that this is a small community, which is actually really cool because you get to know a lot of the builders and a lot of the suppliers and the manufacturers. You'll be able to get to know them relatively easy because it is such a small community. The automotive world in general is small. This is a relatively smaller hobby compared to other hobbies, and the custom lighting side is a niche within that niche. So it is pretty cool getting to know everybody in the custom lighting world. Every job does have its cons, and this is no exception. The biggest con that I can see of having a custom lighting business as your main source of income is that it is a low cost of entry. So yes, it was relatively easy to get into for you, but that means it's also relatively easy for other people to get into. If you're in the business long enough, you will see several individuals and several businesses come and go. And they come and go for various reasons, whether they just got burned out and didn't want to do it anymore, didn't want to work with the customers anymore, or some of them just did not the best work, and too many people asked for refunds, so they just had to shut down. The next thing I don't really love is that it's seasonal. The custom lighting world typically follows the car show season. So in the beginning of spring all the way till the end of school, it's pretty solid. It's gonna be just consistent orders, and you'll have a lot of emails coming in and a lot of people that you can talk to and interact with and try to get some sales out of. But as soon as summer starts and all of the college kids go home, they're gonna start working. They're gonna reset their life for a little bit. So it's gonna slow down pretty significantly right there at the beginning of summer. Everyone's going to car shows. They already have their car going. Then I've noticed it slowly picks all the way up through summer until about Thanksgiving, where there's a massive slowdown. People aren't buying stuff for themselves anymore, and they're hardly gonna buy custom lights as a gift just because it's too niche, it's too specific, and you don't really know what that person could want. It also takes a long time, so it's hard to buy something custom made for a Christmas present if it's not gonna come in for 3 or 4 months. But right around the middle of January to the end of January, it will start picking back up, and then it'll just ride it out all the way to the end of the school year where it's really solid. One more massive thing to think about, and one thing that makes me nervous, is that this is not a recession-proof business. In fact, it's quite the opposite. People are not gonna be modifying their cars if they don't have any money coming in. So that is something to think about, and something that's completely out of everyone's control. Market shift to where everything is going negative and there's a lot of layoffs, kind of like there is now. You're gonna see a dip right now in the beginning of 2024. There's been a lot of layoffs in several different industries, and I and other builders have noticed a solid 30 to 50% drop in sales so far this year. The final thing that's pretty tough that I don't really love is something that's common for every brand new small business, and that's work-life balance, especially at the beginning of your business, at the beginning of your journey. It's going to be really tough to have any sort of normal work-life balance. I personally would work all day and then eat dinner, hang out with my wife, and then after she would go to bed at around 9:30, I would go to the garage and I would work for a couple more hours and then do it the next day. And I would do that for several years before I finally took it full time. But like I said, that's with any small business. There are people who have started small businesses who worked way more than I did to get it started, and they were able to make it work. And even after you do take it full time, you're gonna have really long days at the beginning just so that you can go through and make all the mistakes in not only learning how to build the lights, but also how to run the business and get all of the business things needed, learn how to have good customer service, because it is different once you go full time, and to learn how to hire and build out a team. That's also a whole other skill that you're gonna have to learn once you do go full time. So overall, I do think it's worth trying it out if it's something you really want to do. I don't think that it's going to be a way to get massively wealthy, but I do think it's a really cool way to learn business. I feel like I've learned a lot and could transfer some of these skills into a different business. Of course, there's going to be a ton to learn in any other industry. So if you've been considering starting your own custom automotive lighting business, I say go for it. I say it's always better to try the thing than regret not trying it later on in the future. Except for drugs, don't do drugs.